Photos with disturbing backstories.
This is Trypophobia Test Extreme Edition. Can you make it through all 5? Let's find out. Start the test. Number 1. How about this? Halfway through. Feeling uncomfortable yet? Last one. If you couldn't make it to the end, then you could have trypophobia, which is the fear of clusters of small holes or patterns. Follow now to see if you can make it through the next extreme phobia test.
So this photo is the reason you shouldn't put your feet up on the dashboard of a car. In 2007, Granny Keeley had an airbag deploy on her at 120 miles an hour. She was sitting passenger with her feet up on the dash, and when the airbag went off, her knees went right into her skull. Obviously, this led to a brain injury. Her 2 front teeth also fell out, but she lived, thankfully. She lived without a forehead for about 2 years until surgeons fitted a ceramic forehead into her skull. She had near constant headaches, and she developed gallstones because of the medication she was on. After they fitted a ceramic plate into her forehead, they injected fat from her stomach into it so it could look more natural. This is her today, so she looks very normal now. And of course, because she's in good spirit, she says her ceramic forehead is designer because it was made in Italy. She also spent a considerable amount of time educating people on why they shouldn't put their feet up on the dashboard. Because if you do, you could end up like this. And you might not be so lucky. So, if you get anything from this video, stop putting your feet up on the dash. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below, and as always, these videos are for informational and entertainment purposes only.
I just saw The Substance in theaters and it instantly became my new favorite horror movie of the year, and possibly one of my favorite movies ever made, so let's talk about it. The Substance is about an aging actress named Elizabeth Sparkle, and how she comes across a mysterious black market substance that once injected will replicate your DNA, and create a better version of yourself that I'm just gonna call the double. But the catch is you and your double have to switch every 7 days, each living separate lives but as one. The entire thing felt like you were watching a fever dream. The colors are so poppy and beautiful, but what you're actually seeing is horrifying. This movie had one of the best, most satisfying, and most effective uses of body horror I've probably ever seen, including how the double is actually born after Elizabeth injects the substance into herself, and just how the human body is both represented and distorted in this movie. If I had to describe The Substance with other movies, I would say it's The Thing meets Pearl meets Starry Eyes, and also some parts of it kind of reminded me of Requiem for a Dream. It also got me thinking after the movie ended for a while how there must be this like secret organization or company that's making the substance, and finding victims with specific insecurities to prey on, ultimately so they can be manipulated into using the substance on themselves, sounding eerily similar to some dark marketing strategies in the beauty industry. It also raises the question of whether this organization is setting people up to fail. Slight spoiler warning for the next part of the video, so if you don't want any spoilers at all, I'll see you in the next one. I just feel like anyone who's willing to use a black market substance to make a double of themselves would also definitely betray themselves to live the life of their dreams, if that makes sense. Because the fact that you injected this unknown thing into your body, not fully knowing what it's gonna do to you, is already a form of betrayal. So it's a pretty good bet that if the double is made out of the same genetic material as the original, that the double would almost certainly end up breaking the rules. It was set up to fail because the balance can never be respected. One part will always feel like it deserves to live more, because it's the younger, more beautiful, and the better version, while the other is literally having their life force sucked out to feed the double. I think there's also a theme of self-sacrifice in relation to womanhood, and how in the end, Elizabeth didn't want to get rid of Sue because she's the part of her that's worth loving. And the ending, which I'm not gonna spoil for you, but the theme of self-sacrifice definitely resurfaces, illustrating that Sue and Elizabeth, no matter what they look like on the outside, are one. I don't know how to end this video other than this movie is amazing. It is now my favorite horror movie of the year, but don't forget to let me know what you thought and follow for more.
This is one of the saddest moments that took place inside of a courtroom On August 8th, 2007, this little 6-year-old boy named AJ witnessed his 7-year-old sister Adriana get murdered by his own mother. The mother, Amanda, was upset because of something her daughter did, and then she punished her by holding her head down in a pool until she drowned to death. And the poor little boy, AJ, had to witness the whole thing. And then this was the 911 call right after the crime.
911. 911.
I need an ambulance.
What's wrong, ma'am?
My daughter fell in the pool and she's not breathing.
And she's not breathing. How old is she?
She's 7 years old.
All right, hang on just a second, ma'am.
Little AJ had to testify in court against his own mother, and it is the most heartbreaking scenes that I have ever seen in my life.
If I told you your mother was in the courtroom here today, would that be the truth?
No, sir.
That would not be the truth. Why is that? Because she's not in the courtroom?
No, sir.
Okay. So your mother is not in this courtroom?
No, sir.
Okay. And you're telling me that that is the truth, that your mother is not in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where is your mother?
Jail.
She's in jail.
AJ,
Yes, sir.
when is the last time that you saw your mother? Do you remember?
No, sir.
Has it been a long time?
Yes, sir.
That woman sitting right there between them. Have you ever seen her before?
Yes, sir.
Who is that?
My mother.
Now you recognize your mother?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, look at me, AJ.
And your objections noted for the record. Previous order of the court is still in place.
AJ? AJ,
Yes, sir.
come here. All right. AJ, do you see these people sitting over here?
Yes, sir.
Hey guys, I had the chance to speak to one of my favorite writers and directors of all time, M. Night Shyamalan. And as you guys know, the trailer for his new movie Trap is going viral all over TikTok. I'm not trying to flex, but I got to see it a little bit earlier than you guys. As you guys know, M. Night is known for his crazy plot twist movies. Like, none of his movies fail to not shock me, because the reveals are always so good. So obviously, I wanted to ask the master of plot twists what his favorite plot twist movie is. And this was his answer.
What is one plot twist movie that made you gasp?
So many, but Planet of the Apes, the original Planet of the Apes,
Yeah.
blew my mind.
Planet of
Just
the
blew
Apes.
my mind, you know.
Yeah.
And then then later on in life, they asked me to remake that,
Oh my god.
and I was like, I don't know, should I remake that? That's so it's so I love that movie
It's
so
too
much.
precious,
It's too
yeah.
precious. I
Yeah.
can't do it, you know.
Yeah.
But that ending blew me away. How it exploded and expanded the world.
Yeah. Oh my god. Well, it was so nice meeting you.
Yeah, that happened. I'm still in shock. And I got his signature. Yeah, I got to ask him and his daughter, Ishana Shyamalan, a lot more questions. So if you guys want to see the full thing, check out my YouTube. Check it out. But yeah, shout out to you guys, because if it wasn't for your guys' support, I wouldn't be able to do these things. I just met one of my favorite writers and directors. That's crazy. That's crazy.
What if the Mandela effect could actually be proven? The Mandela effect is a phenomenon where millions of people remember past events differently from what they originally happened. For instance, the Monopoly guy using a monocle. A lot of people remember him using a monocle, but apparently he never did. If you search it up, you'll see he never did. The same thing with this video. A lot of people remember the reporter being blonde.
Please. I mean, I love our chances. You know, it's been. Guys, keep it on the field.
The thing is, there are a couple of people capturing the Mandela effect on camera, and it's the case with the Thought Police, who has been using an old phone to see somehow through a parallel dimension. This is what he recorded from the same video. You can see there, she's blonde. Officially, She was never blonde, but ChatGPT remembers Emily Austin actually being the woman from this commercial. So this is where things get even stranger. A YouTube account captured the Mandela effect happening live. Check this out.
I hung this thing up. I got it a long time ago. My cousin painted that picture. It used to be hanging over here. I've decided to move it over there. I put this over here just for the hell of it. I'm only bringing this up because until I had done those two things, things were normal inside of this room right here. So it's the night I did this, it was just a couple nights ago, that really weird stuff started to happen in that room. And things, I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was seeing stuff. So I'm doing this video so you guys can see. And I'm going to show it to you live. This book, this is one of my nephew's books. I'm going to show you, as I pass through this doorway, what happens. And it's fucking weird. Alright, it happens when it gets in the room. See it? And then back out here, normal. Yeah. What the fuck? Uh-huh. Yeah. And then normal. This just creeps me out, man.
This man found a secret room in his new house, but as he opened it, he made a terrifying discovery. A man named Chris discovered a hidden door in his backyard, leading to an abandoned room. As the man makes his way inside, he finds strange books and objects, leading him to believe whoever lived there used to practice witchcraft.
¡Qué asco!
Now, as Chris opens another door hidden behind a shelf, he discovers the room connects to his house.
La concha! Mi casa! What the fuck?
Creeped out yet excited for the extra space, he plans a renovation.
Bueno, gente, yo estoy en mi casa con la sorpresa de que hay una habitación ahí que no sabía que existía.
But one night he begins to hear someone moving around his house, so he calls the police and investigates.
Miren cómo se mueve la puta que lo parió, what the fuck? Miren eso. Ay, la puta, hay alguien, la concha de su madre. La concha de su madre. Ay, la concha de su madre, la concha de su madre.
What looks like a dark figure can be seen watching Chris behind the swinging hammock.
We found a massive abandoned mansion located in the middle of nowhere. This is the original gate and gatehouse on the right. We are now walking the long original road to the abandoned mansion. The building is listed and was completed in 1923. The original house that sat here was bulldozed to make way for it. It was built for Member of Parliament and Minister of Transport Captain David Ewan Wallace. The The mansion goes by the name of Kildonan House, also referred to as the Overlook Hotel, due to its similar appearance and characteristics to the hotel in the film The Shining. Walking around this derelict mansion, you really feel as though you are being watched from the inside. Our plan was to hang around for a while, to see if anyone confronted us. We could not believe this building was abandoned, especially with all the lights on inside. From 1946 to 1978, the house was used as a convent school. Since 1978, the mansion changed ownership several times, eventually run as a hotel and leisure facility. At this point, we had to decide whether to turn back or explore inside. The car parked outside was also a mystery. Having found a way in through a gaping hole in the wall, we climbed in ready to see whatever was inside. That footage can be found on another video on our TikTok.
UFOs. Ghosts. Witches. Aliens. Did you guys see this? There's a new show on Hulu called Out There: Crimes of the Paranormal, and it dives into real true crime cases that may be linked to the paranormal world. And if you're deep into conspiracy theories, well, get ready because there's a whole episode about Granger Taylor, the guy who mysteriously disappeared while building a UFO in his backyard. Granger truly believed that he can communicate with aliens, so one night he decides to write his parents a letter basically saying that he's going on a 42-month voyage, and that same night he disappeared. It's so interesting and insane at the same time, so if you like that kind of stuff, you're gonna love this one.
I really want to talk about this photo. A security guard at the Bryson Avenue Mall located in Virginia took this photo in 2011. It would later be turned into police, but the woman seen here was never found. For context, the security guard's name was Sean Mercado, and he worked the night shift at this mall. But the mall had been having strange things happening for weeks. Like on after hours, there are store alarms going off, but nobody's ever found. They're hearing people run through the mall, but again, they never see anybody. Until one night when Sean Mercado goes out to have a cigarette, he's just kind of patrolling the parking lot, and he goes back to enter through the employee entrance when he saw this woman staring back at him from inside the mall. He takes a photo for proof, and then he radios for backup, and he goes in after her. He claimed to chase her as fast as he could, but he eventually lost her inside that mall. And despite a police investigation, she would never be found.
Chicago's manufacturing facility looks like a nursery, but inside these plants, they're growing a new kind of vaccine. The technology is called a virus-like particle.
At Medicago, we use a careful step-by-step process to develop vaccines, using our plants as mini bioreactors. We start with the gene sequence, or code of a virus. We then use our technology to synthesize the virus code into a real biological product. The code contains genetic instructions that our plants can read, and we insert it into bacteria called Agrobacterium tumefaciens. We submerge the plants in a bath with the bacteria that carries the information into the plant cells. And using a vacuum, we suck out the air between the plant cells and replace it with the liquid. The plants absorb it like a sponge. At the end of their bacterial bath, we return our plants to a carefully controlled greenhouse to let them get on with their natural growing business for at least 4 days. Now the plants will start producing the most important ingredient of our vaccines, virus-like particles.
This was the moment Cameron Herron realized he was sentenced to 24 years in prison. Cameron was a normal 18-year-old boy living in Tampa, Florida in 2018. He had also recently graduated high school, and to congratulate him, his parents got him a black Ford Mustang. On May 23, 2018, Cameron and his brother Tristan had gone to a local gym. While they were there, they had also run into an old friend of theirs named John Barreneau. Once they were done at the gym, all three of the friends got into their cars. Cameron and Tristan were in the black Ford Mustang, while John was in his own car. As they approached a street light, both of the cars were side by side, and that's where they got the brilliant idea to do some street racing. Both of the cars sped up very quickly, reaching over 100 miles an hour. At the same time, a mother and her young child were crossing the street. Unfortunately, the cars were just going way too fast in order for her to make it across the street in time. Her name was Jessica, and her daughter's name was Lilia. And unfortunately, it was a direct hit. John was able to swerve past her, but unfortunately, Cameron ended up hitting her head on. All Cameron could do was watch Jessica and Lilia's bodies fly into the air as he hit them. Moments after the crash, Jessica's husband David Robinault passed by in his own car. At the time that he was passing by, he had no idea that his wife had just been involved in a major accident. He noticed there was a huge crowd of people looking at the accident, but he just wanted to get home and hope that no one had gotten hurt too badly. David then tried to call his wife, but she wasn't answering, and when he went home, she wasn't there either. He then figured that she must have seen the accident, so he went to go see for himself. And when he got there, that's when he noticed that his wife and baby stroller was right there in the middle of the street. Immediately, chills went down his spine when he realized that his wife and daughter had been the victims of this horrible accident. Unfortunately, Jessica passed away the same day as the accident, and Lilia tried to fight, but she passed away the following day. Immediately, both Cameron and John were charged since they were the ones driving. John took a plea deal and was given 6 years in prison with 15 years of probation. Cameron took an open plea, but to his surprise and his family's surprise, he was given 24 years in prison. And right away, people were absolutely torn about this decision. The judge believed that Cameron had shown no remorse, and he also had a history of racing recklessly. Meanwhile, supporters of Cameron believed that the punishment was way too harsh, considering that he was 18 years old when the entire thing happened. And today, he's still in prison. Let me know what you guys think.
The Wendigo, a terrifying creature born from Algonquian folklore, has long haunted the dense forests of the northeastern United States and eastern Canada. This monstrous being is said to be a malevolent spirit, a ghastly fusion of human and beast, with an insatiable hunger for human flesh. Its origins lie in the dark depths of ancient tribal lore, a chilling warning against the ultimate taboo, cannibalism. In the icy grip of harsh winters, when resources were scarce, desperation led some to consume the flesh of their fellow humans. The Wendigo legend is a stark reminder of the price paid for such an act. Those who indulge in cannibalism are believed to be possessed by the Wendigo spirit, their bodies mutating into grotesque forms, elongating limbs, and their hearts turning as cold as the ice that surrounds them. Their minds are consumed by an unending craving for human flesh, driving them to hunt and feast on unsuspecting victims. Whispers of Wendigo sightings continue to echo through the ages, chilling the souls of those who dare to venture into the dark, desolate woods. This sinister presence looms as a stark warning of the darkness that dwells within the human heart when pushed to the brink of survival. Do you believe the Wendigo exists? Or is it just another figment created by the human imagination?
Let's take a look at this photo. Captured outside of a small area from Chihuahua, Mexico, it is the only definitive proof we have of the Night Lady. Back in like 2009 to 2010, just outside of the city, it was plagued by something very disturbing. It was this woman. She was witnessed and sketched breaking into windows only at night, where she would take children from their beds. There was only one child who ever survived an abduction when this woman was caught in the bedroom trying to take him from his bed, and she fled through the window. Ultimately, this child was able to give a witness account of the woman. What was learned is that it's believed she climbs on rooftops during the day and then waits until nightfall to crawl through a window. You wake up, and at the foot of your bed, you would find her staring at you with a knife in hand. Despite an extensive investigation, she would never be found, nor were the children, but we do have this. A teenage girl captured this through her ground floor window shortly after midnight of what is believed to be the Night Lady. It is the only photo we might have of her.
A TikTok user awoke to find something frightening on his front door camera. Thinking somebody was messing with him, he continued to look back at recent footage. He sees the same figure lurking in a different area. What do you believe? Is this just somebody playing tricks on him? Or could it be a genuine entity? Or perhaps something more unsettling? Maybe it was him all along. To see more of his content, you can visit his page linked below. And don't forget to tell him Ghost Toast sent you.
The scariest story I read in my childhood can be found in the 3rd volume of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It's called Harold, and it's about 2 farmers who make a hideous scarecrow and take out their frustrations over their shitty lives on it, only for the scarecrow to come to life and peel one of the farmers' skins off. I used to think that story could not get more disturbing, but then I watched the movie adaptation of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which gives it a solid run for its money. In the adaptation, the local high school's resident douchebag is the one who picks a fight with the scarecrow, who looks exactly as he does in the book. But later, the douchebag finds himself stalked by his former victim, running for his life through the cornfield, with no idea of the horrible fate that's in store for him. After being stabbed by a pitchfork, his insides start turning to straw, and after a horrifying transformation sequence, Tommy becomes the new Harold.
This picture is worth $5 million, and here's why. Back in 2010, Randy Guiaro purchased the $2 photo from the Fresno Junk in California. The photo was recently authenticated as the second known picture of the Wild West outlaw, Billy the Kid, with the first image being his famous portrait. The gunslinger claimed to have killed 21 men, and was the most notorious member of the Regulators gang. The now famous picture is also the only known photo of the Regulators gang altogether. It was taken at the ranch of John Tunstall, an Englishman rancher who organized the gang to protect his properties against rivals.
Photos taken before disaster. This woman didn't know she was posing for her last photograph. Let's enhance it with sharp AI. Christine Thornton disappeared in 1977, and no one knew what had happened to her until they found this picture among the batch of photographs taken by Rodney Alcala. Her family was finally able to know the truth, and her remains were found in 1982, in the same spot where this photo was taken.
22-year-old Tim McLean was on a bus traveling to Winnipeg when a man named Vince Lee boarded. Vince sat next to Tim, but Tim barely acknowledged him and fell asleep. And without warning, Vince brutally attacked Tim McLean. Vince pulled out a big knife and began stabbing Tim in the neck and chest. After the attack began, the bus driver pulled over and him and all the passengers got off. Some people tried to help, but they were chased away by Vince Lee. Vince then decapitated Tim McLean and displayed his severed head to the passengers outside. He then returned to Tim's body and began severing other parts and consuming some of his flesh. Witnesses then saw Vince Lee stabbing and cutting Tim's body and walking around the bus with his head. Vince Lee then attempted to escape the bus by breaking a window but was shot with a taser and was arrested. Parts of Tim's body were then taken off the bus, but Tim's ears, nose, and tongue were found in Vince Lee's pocket. Tim's eyes and heart were never found, and it is assumed Vince ate both of them. This is honestly terrible, and Tim McLean didn't deserve this at all. He was so young, and he had his whole life to live. May he rest in peace.
The old woman on the porch. When I was a kid, my parents would let me stay up as late as I wanted on the weekends to watch TV until I fell asleep. I really used to like these times, as I would stay up as late as I could past everyone else having gone to sleep in the house, and I'd watch TV in the dark until I fell asleep. One night, however, as I was watching TV late at night around 1 AM and everyone else had gone to sleep, I started to fall asleep when I heard a noise outside on the porch. It was the sound of our porch swing moving, and this caught me off guard because it wasn't windy outside and it was like 1 AM. So I nervously got up and went to investigate to the windows looking out to the porch. And what I saw freaked me out. It was an older woman, maybe in her 50s, just in a nightgown covered in blood, sitting on our porch swing with a massive knife in her hand. She was humming some sort of lullaby under her breath. And as I stood there, the floorboard creaked under me, which caught her attention, and she slowly craned her neck towards me with a slight smile on her face. So I ran upstairs as fast as I could to where my parents were sleeping and tried to wake them up. My dad thought I'd had a nightmare and told me to go back to bed, but I kept telling him that someone was down there until he finally took my hand and dragged me down there. He was convinced that I dreamt the whole thing and was determined to show me to put my mind at rest. However, as we got into the living room towards the windows, I'll always remember that look of fear in his eyes. The old lady was now looking into our house, still humming that lullaby. My dad ran into the kitchen and called the police and told them what was happening. He then grabbed his shotgun and walked onto the porch slowly, but by this point, the woman had already gone. He immediately called up my uncle, who lived one street behind, and told him what was happening and to watch out for this old lady. And the next day, my uncle confirmed that he sat down on his porch with his gun and watched the old lady walk past and told her not to come near him. However, till this day, I can't get that woman's image out of my brain, and I never stayed up past my bedtime ever again in my childhood.
In 2014, my girlfriend and I checked into a hotel in Subic, Philippines. The hotel looked great and the ambiance was nice. But while we were walking in the hallway, we noticed that it was too quiet, like we were the only guests on that floor. When we arrived in our room, it felt really heavy. But I didn't told her. After we ate our dinner, she placed the tray and dishes outside our room. Then she said, "Babe, there's an old woman standing at the end of the hallway looking at me." I said, "Just ignore her, maybe she's lost." Later that night while we were sleeping, we screamed because we had the same nightmare about the old woman. She's really angry because we checked into that room. We were really scared, so we decided to leave. But when opened the door, the same old woman was standing outside. We were shaking, but we pushed ourselves to run and check out immediately.